Alright, hello. We are going to keep going with our grammar practice using our book Level 1 workbook. The last couple live streams, we were working on how to translate, how to conjugate verbs into the present tense. We looked at verbs ending on consonant sounds and verbs ending on vowel sounds. And today we're going to look at a different type of verb, slightly different type of verb called a hada verb. And hada verbs are very common in Korean. Basically, they all end in this hada form, and this literally means to do. This is the verb that means to do in Korean. So, noun hada means to do that noun. And when you conjugate hada into the present tense, it always becomes he, yo, like this. So conjugating into the present tense is reasonably simple. Let's do some practice. First, I'll zoom in a little bit. So the first verb here we have is 운동하다, which means to exercise or to work out. So when you conjugate this into the present tense, the only thing that changes is the hada becomes 해요. So we go 운동. By the way, this is the noun exercise. 운동 means exercise, the noun. And when you add 해요, it literally means to do. Hada means to do exercise. So to exercise. Hello, Keela. Which book is this? This is called the Level 1 workbook. It is linked in this live stream and on our profile as well. Okay, so the next verb is 일하다. 일하다 means to work. And this part here, 일, means work. So, 일하다 becomes 일해요. 일해요 means I work. Okay. Next one, 공부하다. 공부하다. Does anyone know what this verb means in English? 공부하다. Thank you, April. To study, yes, thank you. This means to study. And this word here, 공부, is the noun study. So when you add hada to a noun, it means to do that noun. So 공부하다 means to study, and 공부해요 is I study in the present tense. Now we have another verb, 편하다. Does anyone know what 편하다 means? This one is maybe a less common word, but I think people will know, at least one person maybe will know or recognize this 편하다 verb. 편하다. It's to relax. Yes, pretty close. It's like to be comfortable, kind of, to be comfy or relaxed, chill, kind of. 편하다. So it's kind of like a relaxed state. It's actually a descriptive verb. So these verbs that we've seen before are all action verbs, right? They involve doing some action like exercise, working, studying. But hada verbs can also be descriptions. In this case, comfy, relaxed, chill is 편하다. And in the present tense, it becomes 편해요. 편해요. Which means I'm relaxed, or I'm calm, or I'm comfortable. Okay, next we have 요리하다. Does anyone know what 요리하다 means? A bit more of a common word, this one. 요리하다. To cook, yes, thank you. 요리하다 means to cook, and this noun 요리 means cooking. So 요리해요 is I cook in the present tense. I cook. What about this next one? 여행하다. What is 여행하다? To travel, thank you. Yes, to travel. To travel. 여행하다. 여행 is a travel or a trip. So 여행해요 means I travel. Travel in the present tense. Notice how in Korean you don't necessarily need to have this subject. In English, we always need to have this subject, I, you, me, they, he, she, etc. We always need a subject, but in Korean you don't need that. You can just say 여행해요, and it can mean I travel. What about this one? 좋아하다. We'll do these ones last quite quickly. This means to like something. 좋아하다 means to like something, and it becomes 좋아해요. I like it. I like something. Yes, the subject is usually omitted. You don't need to include it. In fact, oftentimes it's most natural to drop it out on purpose. And 시작하다 means to start. 시작 is the start, and that becomes 시작해요. I start it. I start something. Okay, so now we have some multiple choice questions. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. Hopefully you can still read them. So we cover this information in our grammar book. If you're looking for where to find the answers to this part or where to have this information, we do cover it in the grammar book. Maybe I can quickly find the hada verbs section. Yeah, so we do talk about it here, hada verbs, in this chapter. So this workbook assumes that you've read this chapter first in the textbook before you do these exercises. So just know that if you're confused as to how to answer these questions, it might have been said in the textbook. Okay, so the first comprehension question is, A, separable hada verbs can be split apart into a noun and a verb. Is this true or false? So in the textbook, we talk about the difference between separable hada verbs and non-separable hada verbs. So in Korean, these hada verbs have two different forms, separable and non-separable. So separable hada verbs include a noun plus hada. So separable hada verbs is 운동하다, 일하다, 공부하다, 요리하다, 여행하다. But for example, 좋아하다 is a non-separable hada verb. 좋아하다 is a non-separable hada verb because 좋아 by itself is not a noun. It is not a noun. So it's non-separable, whereas these separable hada verbs, it's half a noun and half hada. 여행 is a noun, 요리 is a noun, 운동 is a noun, etc. So this is true. This is true. It is indeed true. If you have a separable hada verb, it can be split apart into a noun and a verb. B, the question is, non-separable hada verbs contain nouns. So yes, B is now false, right? Because it's only the separable hada verbs that contain nouns. So this is false. C, descriptive verbs that use hada tend to be non-separable. So this is another rule we learned in the textbook, that verbs that are descriptive verbs, like 편하다, tend to be non-separable. So this is true. If you have a hada verb that is a descriptive verb, like 편하다, it's probably non-separable, i.e. it does not contain a noun. Okay, D. Separable and non-separable hada verbs sometimes conjugate differently. Sometimes they conjugate differently. This is true. Depending on whether a verb is separable or non-separable, they sometimes conjugate differently. This is with grammar forms like mot and an, which we haven't learned yet. But if you're familiar with these grammar forms, you might know that with separable hada verbs, they conjugate a little bit differently. Okay, E. Hada verbs are always action verbs. Is this true or false? Are they always action verbs? So hada does mean to do, right? It does mean to do something. But are they always action verbs? They are not. Sometimes they are not. Like 편하다. 편하다, to be comfortable, is not an action verb. Same with 똑똑하다, means to be smart. That is not an action verb. So 하다 verbs are not always action verbs. Okay. F. 공부하다 and 공부를 하다 have basically the same meaning. So 공부하다 is a separable 하다 verb. It contains the noun 공부 and 하다. So you can split this up into the noun and 하다 with the object particle. And do these have the same meaning? They do, in fact. They're basically the same. 공부하다 and 공부를 하다 are basically the same. Because it's a separable 하다 verb, and you can split separable 하다 verbs into their noun and 하다 parts. You can split them up, connect them with the object particle, and it means essentially the same thing. Question, what does le mean by itself? So this le is what's called the object particle. And it doesn't necessarily have a meaning by itself. What it does is it marks the object of the sentence. In this case, this sentence or just sort of sentence phrase or fragment, it marks 공부, which is study, as the object. And the object of a sentence is simply the thing that's being acted upon. So the thing you do something to. For example, the object of a sentence like I eat an apple, the object is the apple because the apple is the thing that you're eating. Same with this. Study is the thing that you're doing, the thing you're hadaing. You're hadaing, you're doing 공부, the study. So that's all this le does, is it marks what is the object of the verb. We practice, the subject, that's kind of the other side of things. The subject is who is doing something. So if you say, I eat an apple, the subject is I, because I'm doing the action. Apple is the object, because it's the thing being eaten. We practice this more in later chapters and previous chapters. If you need to brush up on particles, I'm not going to focus on it too much right now, but this is the object particle, and it marks the object. Okay. G. All nouns can have hada added to them to form verbs. Is this true or false? So all nouns, any noun at all, can you add hada to it to make a verb? No. This would be quite crazy if that was the case, but there are many nouns that you can add hada to make verbs. For example, you could take a noun like 수영. 수영 is swimming. You can add hada to it and it means to swim. You can take a noun like, I don't know, I'm blanking on nouns. Like 일 is to work. 일하다 is working, to work. So you can add hada to lots of nouns, but not all nouns, right? Like you can't add hada to like chair and say like to chair. Like that doesn't make sense. But so not all nouns, but many nouns you can. Okay. H. 운동하다 can be broken apart into 운동 and 하다. So this question is essentially asking, is 운동하다 a separable 하다 verb? And it can. It is true. 운동 is a noun, means exercise, and it can be split apart into 운동 and 하다. But this one though, can 좋아하다 be broken apart into 좋아 and 하다? This one cannot, because this is a non-separable 하다 verb. 좋아 by itself is not a noun. This word only exists as this verb. And if you split this apart, you can split it into 운동, 해요. But you don't necessarily need the particle there, but it can be split apart. Okay. I need this in my life. Well, you can get it if you like. Check it out if you would like to buy it. Feel free. Okay, so now let's do some more practice. Do some more exercises using hada verbs. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, translate these into English. Given the following Korean sentences, write an equivalent English expression. 저는 운동해요. 저는 운동해요. So we might remember what 운동해요 means. It means to exercise. So this is in the present tense. It is I exercise. Or I work out. I work out or I exercise. Okay, next one. 톰은 운동을 해요. Where can I get this book? You can get this book on TikTok Shop, on Amazon, on our website, lots of places. You're not stupid, don't worry. So B, 톰은 운동을 해요. So Tom is someone's name. It's the name Tom. And this is just the same verb as this, but it's been split into its two parts, into its two components. Its noun component and its verb component. But it means the same thing. It also means Tom exercises or Tom works out. Okay, C. 메리는 공부를 해요. 메리는 공부를 해요. Now we have a different person, Mary. And we have a new verb, 공부를 해요. This is the noun part 공부 and the 하다 form of the verb 해요. And it means Mary studies. Mary studies. Or you could say like Mary does study or Mary does some study. Those would also be good translations for this. D. 소피는 영어를 공부해요. So when you have a proper noun, you separate the noun and the verb. So a proper noun is a noun. A proper noun, from my understanding, is someone's name. So the name is just by itself. It's always by itself. And then the verb itself is what you're splitting into the two parts. So this verb here has been split into 공부 and 해요. So 소피는 영어를 공부해요. So now we have a new word, 영어. 영어 means English. So this person, 소피, what is she doing? What is Sophie doing? Sophie, she's studying, right? 공부해요 means studies. Sophie studies English. So remember that in Korean you always go subject, object, verb. So subject comes first, who is doing the thing. Object comes next, what you're doing it to, and the verb comes last. Can I ask what the difference between formal and informal Korean is? That's a good question, and it's not an easy question to answer. Essentially, there's different endings you can add to the conjugations of verbs, and the style of conjugation you use or the type of ending you use determines the level of formality that sentence is in. So you can have sentences that has the same base sentence with just different endings on the end, and that affects whether that sentence is formal or informal. And the difference between formal and informal language is very contextual. It depends very much on context. It even depends somewhat on personal preference. Different people have different preferences when it comes to formality. But generally, if you're being more polite to someone, you use more formal language. If you're being more casual with someone, you use more casual language. Can I translate it to I am studying or Sophie is studying English? Yes, you can translate this to Sophie is studying English. You can do either way. There is a specific grammar form that's used for the like plus ing word, like studying or am studying. There is a specific grammar form for that particularly, but this can also be translated to Sophie is studying English, or Mary is studying, or I am exercising. Those are also valid translations. Dropping yo makes it formal. Dropping yo makes it informal, yes. If you take off the yo, it makes it casual language, which is appropriate In some situations, like if you're talking to animals, if you're talking to someone much younger than you, if you're talking to yourself out loud, you can use casual language. If you're talking to a close friend, someone the same age as you, siblings, you can use casual language. But in other situations, you'd want to use formal language. Okay, last one. 아빠는 음식을 만들어요. So we've got some new words here. 아빠 means dad. 음식 means food. And 만들어요, yes, good job, means make. So this sentence means dad makes food. Or like you could say something like dad makes a meal, dad makes some food, dad makes us a meal, dad makes us some food. All of those are good translations for 아빠는 음식을 만들어요. Okay, so now let's translate from English into Korean. So we'll go the opposite direction. All right. The first one, A, is I study Korean. So we're going to start with I, and we're going to use 저는. 저는 is just the word 저, which means I or me, plus the topic particle to make me the topic of this sentence. So 저는. Now, in a sentence, you always go subject, object, verb. So we need the object next, which is Korean. And Korean is 한국어. Now, question. Which particle do I need to add here? Which particle is required? Does anyone know? If you had to guess which particle to use? 를, yes, excellent. How do we know we need to use 를? Well, the answer is because of this verb. The verb study is an action verb. It's an action verb that requires the object particle because you study some object, right? You study something, and that thing you study uses the object particle. So, 저는 한국어를 공부해요. Excellent. Thank you, Lindsay. Yes. All right. Next we have B. I like bread. I like bread. So we're starting with I. So again, we'll start with 저는. 저는. Does anyone know? Again, we need to put the object next, right? Because you go subject, object, verb. The object of this sentence is bread. Bread in Korean is 빵. 빵. Yes, thank you. And what particle do I need here? What particle do I need? This is kind of a tricky question. What's the difference between 저는 and 나는? 저는 is formal and 나는 is casual. So this is a tricky question because you could use either 이 or 를, but it depends on the verb. Essentially, the particle you need depends which verb you're using. So one way to translate I like bread is with the verb 좋아하다, in which case you would say 저는 빵을 좋아해요, because 좋아해요 is an action verb. But you can also use the subject particle, but you have to change the verb. You could say 저는 빵이 좋아요. Now, 좋아요 is a descriptive verb. It's not an action that you do, it's a description of the state of something. So this is literally like bread is in the state of being liked by me. Whereas this is, I do the action of liking bread. Both are correct expressions. You can use either one, but the particle depends on which verb you use. So if you're using 좋아요, use the subject particle. And if you're using 좋아해요, use the object particle. But both are correct. They both mean I like bread. Okay. It's a common mistake beginners make, the difference between 좋아해요 and 좋아요. Because they both mean to like something, but they use different particles. Okay. C. I like vegetables. So this is the same sentence, essentially, with a different noun. And for vegetables, there's two different nouns you can use for vegetables. This book, I believe, uses 야채. So, 저는, I, vegetables, 야채. Again, there's two ways we can say this. We can say 야채를 좋아해요, or 저는 야채가 좋아요. So you have two options here again, and both are correct. You can use either one. Memorizing vocab is so hard, I know. Vocabulary is, I think, the hardest part of learning a language. It takes the most time because there's just so much, and a lot of the time it's just pure memorizing, right? There's no shortcuts, there's no cheat sheets, you just have to memorize things, and it takes a long time. How do you know when to pronounce niung and when not, and how to use lir as R or L? Okay, so the sound change rules for niung are complicated, and I don't have time to do that right now. Basically, when it's at the bottom of a syllable, then you pronounce it, like this is bang. But if it's the start of a syllable, you don't pronounce it. This is ah. So at the start of a syllable, it's empty, it's just an open vowel. At the end of a syllable at the bottom, then it becomes ng. And the difference between R and L with lir, the simplest explanation there is that I think if it's starting a syllable, it sounds kind of more like an R, it sounds kind of more like an L, sorry. And if it's in the middle of a syllable, it kind of sounds more like an R, but it's kind of, it's tricky. Would this be correct for the subject form? 저는 야채가 좋아요. Yes, that's correct. It's like what I have here. 저는 야채가 좋아요. Maybe it was hard to see on the side. When do you use E or ka? So you use E when the noun ends on a consonant. So like bang, E, because bang ends on a consonant sound. But ya, che, ga, because yache ends on a vowel. Ends on a consonant, E, ends on a vowel, ka. Okay. D, Tom works. Tom works. So we know that Tom, we can write it like this. Tom ends on a consonant sound. So we attach, well, okay, that's the important question. Which particle do I add here? Tom works. What's the difference between the two different answers for number 2 and number 3? There's not really any difference. They mean kind of the same thing. But I just gave 2 different options for you to use. They mean essentially the same thing. Okay, D. So there's 2 particles you could use here. You can use either E or un. But you cannot use Why can you not use So, remember that the object particle determines what is the object of the sentence, and the subject particle determines who is the subject of the sentence. So the subject is who is doing the action, right? Tom is the person doing the work, so he has to be either the subject or the topic. If you said Tom을 일해요, it means work is done to Tom, right? Tom is worked upon. Tom is worked, right? So you can't say Tom을 일해요 without some specific situation where like work is being done to Tom, which I can't imagine what sort of situation that would be. if you want to say that Tom is the person doing the action, they're doing the action of working, you have to use the subject particle, or you can also use the topic particle, but you cannot use the object particle. Hopefully that makes sense. We'll do more practice with that later. Okay. E, last one. I swim. I swim. What was your biggest motivation to continue to learn Korean and not give up? My biggest motivation is I love it, I guess. I genuinely enjoy learning Korean. I genuinely enjoy languages. I think they're fascinating. It's just a special interest and hobby of mine. Plus, I lived in Korea. I really fell in love with the food and the people and the country, the landscape. And I hope to go back there and, continually improve my Korean. So yeah, I have lots of motivation. Okay, I swim. Yes. So we're going to do 저는. And swim is a noun, 수영. But if you want to talk about doing the action of 수영, it becomes 수영해요. I swim. Which book is this? This is the Level 1 workbook. You're a swimming coach. Oh my goodness. Then you can definitely use this sentence. You swim, right? You must be a very good swimmer to be a swimming coach. 저는 수영해요. I swim. Okay. So this is the end of this little section. We do also have some dictation exercises that I'm not going to do in this live stream right now, but if you get the book, I do highly recommend you do the dictation exercises. It's really helpful for your ears to hear the language, not just listening to me speak it, but, seeing it spoken, seeing if you can understand what's being said. So check this out. For starters, what book do you recommend? So the very first thing to start if you're learning Korean is to learn the alphabet. If you haven't learned the alphabet, start with that. We don't have a book specifically for learning the alphabet, but there's lots of resources online. Once you know the alphabet, I would start with our textbook to learn grammar. And this is the workbook that goes along with the textbook. Okay. How would you say I don't swim? That is an excellent question. And we have not learnt that grammar form yet, but I can tell you there's a couple ways to do it. One is using the grammar form an, and one is using the grammar form 지 않다. So you could say 저는 수영 안 해요. That means I don't swim. That's using the an form. 수영 안 해요 means I don't swim. Or you can say 수영하지 않아요 means I don't swim. There's also 못, which means you can't swim. So you have the inability to swim. So that's 수영 못해요. We do learn all of these grammar forms later in the book, but those are all options as well. Okay, so we have one final exercise, which is just making some sentences given some vocabulary. So the first one, A, is 저 and 운동해요. And we've got the example given to us. The sentence is 저는 운동해요. And we're also told in these sentences, use the topic particle. Okay. What time do I start my live? At 5 p.m. Eastern time. So whatever this time is now, subtract 30 minutes. That's when I start my live streams. Okay. 소피 and 산책하다. 소피 means Sophie. And 산책하다, does anyone know what this verb means? This probably is a good clue, this picture. 소피는, what is 산책하다? 산책하다. Why is she it pronounced as a T sometimes? Yes, it just means to go for a walk. Just means to go for a walk. Is 산책해요. So Sophie goes for a walk, goes for a stroll. Yeah, it's a great word, stroll. Why is she it pronounced as a T sometimes? It has to do with the 받침 rules. There's a lot of Korean pronunciation. They're called sound change rules that happen in Korean. there's a lot to talk about right now, but essentially when shit is on the bottom of a syllable and there's no open vowel following it, so this, for example, this is from the verb ita, right? So this verb means to have something, and we have this shit on the bottom, but there's no open vowel. See, it's followed by another consonant. So when there's no open vowel, this is pronounced like a T, ita. But if there is an open vowel, so like isoyo, see we have an open vowel after the shiat. When this happens, the shiat can move over and it's pronounced isoyo. So if the shiat has room to move, it's pronounced as an sh or an s sound. But if it's stuck, if it's stopped with another consonant following it, it's pronounced like a T. So, but there's a lot of rules like this that are kind of tricky. We touch on them briefly in our handwriting books actually, but we don't focus on it in this book. But that's a quick rule for you, if it helps. Okay. C. Sarah and 공부하다. Sarah means Sarah. To walk, I like stroll. That was a great word. To stroll, I like that a lot. Sarah, and to study. So, Sarah는 공부해요. This means Sarah studies. We don't know what she's studying specifically, but Sarah is the person who is studying. Okay. Next we have D, Tom and 일하다. So Tom ends on a vowel sound, so we add 은, Tom은, 일하다. What does 일하다 mean? Excuse me. 일하다. Anyone remember what 일하다 means? To work. Yes, thank you, Izat. It means to work. So I'm assuming Tom is a bus driver, I suppose. Tom은 일해요. Tom works. How to say let's go now or let's go right now? There's a lot of different ways to say that. Oh gosh. Yeah, kaja is a good one. Kaja is sort of casual language. Kaja, that's like let's go right now. It's a good easy one. If you're close to someone, you can say kaja. Kapshida is also kind of casual. Is it correct? Tommy 일해요. I tried to say 아재 가자. 아재? EJ. Oh, EJ 가자. Yeah, probably it would be understandable. EJ just means like now. Like, let's go now, yeah. Is it correct? Tommy 일해요. Yes. You can say Tom이 일해요. It's just using the subject particle instead of the topic particle, but both are correct. Both are fine. Okay. Mary and 수영하다. Mary는 ends on a vowel sound, so 는, 수영. How to make 수영하다 into the present tense? It becomes 해요. 하다 always becomes 해요 in the present tense. It's very easy, simple to conjugate. Okay, what about this one? 저 and 요리하다. 저 ends on a vowel sound, so 저는 요리하다, 요리해요. And what does this sentence mean in English? 요리하다, you can see in the picture, is to do with cooking. So I cook. I cook. 해요 is present tense. Yes. vowel is 는 and consonant equals e. Close. So those are two different particles. So if you're using the topic particle, you add 는. So the topic particle is in and 는. That's the topic. The subject particle is e and ka. In and e are for words ending on consonant sounds, and 는 and ka are for words ending on vowel sounds. So 메리는 수영해요 or 메리가 수영해요 are both correct. So for example, for Tom it would be Tom은 or Tommy, because Tom ends on a consonant sound, but Mary ends on a vowel sound. Okay, G. 크리스 and 등산하다. So Chris is the name Chris. And what about 등산하다? 등산하다? Does anyone know, or can they guess what 등산하다 means? 등산하다. To hike, yes, thank you, Remy. Hike or hiking or mountain climbing. All of those sentences are good translations. Climbing, mountain climbing, hiking. I'm from New Zealand. In New Zealand, we say tramping, but I don't think anywhere else says tramping. But 등산하다, to hike. So, 그리스 ends on a vowel sound, so 그리스는 등산. By the way, this is a noun. 등산 is a noun of like hiking. And then 해요 is to do. So to do hiking. I sound like Lily from N Mix. I don't know who that is. Okay. I hope that's a compliment. What is the past tense? So the past tense we practice a little bit later, but because you asked, I will tell you. It is 했어요. So to change this into the past tense, you would say 등산 했어요. That is the past tense. So this Chris는 등산해요 means Chris hikes or goes hiking. And Chris는 등산했어요 means Chris went hiking or he hiked. Okay. H. 가족 and 여행하다. Does anyone know what 가족 means in Korean? Could it be 등산을 해요? Yes, it absolutely could be. Because 등산하다 is a separable 하다 verb. And 등산 is a noun. It is a noun by itself. So it can be split into 등산을 해요. And yes, 가족 is family. So, ends on a vowel sound, right? 가족은 여행하다 becomes 여행해요. 여행해요. All right. And what is 여행하다? What does this sentence mean? What book is this? This is the Level 1 workbook. Level 1 workbook, I have it linked in this live stream, in this TikTok shop. You can also find it on Amazon and our website. Yes, Gojo. Perfect. Willow pillow. My family travels, or the family travels, or our family travels, or my family goes on a vacation. All of these sentences are possible translations of 가족은 여행해요. When is 제가 used? So 제가 uses the subject particle, whereas 저는, it uses the topic particle. The differences between those two particles are not easily said in one sentence. One specific way that they're different, which I'll share in this live stream. I heard that 차 is 차. Yes, that is correct. 차 or 자동차. Because 차 also means tea, so you can add 동차 at the end. That's like automatic car. 자동차 or 차. What was I saying? Oh yeah, about 저는 versus 제가. So 제가 emphasizes the subject. When you use the subject particle, you emphasize the subject. So when you say 제가, you're saying me. I am the one doing something. If you use 저는, you emphasize everything after 저는. So like the action, for example. You say 저는 something, saying like, I do this. This thing is what I do. So if you use 제가, it's usually in a response to someone asking, like, who does something? Like, who goes hiking? If someone asks, who goes hiking? You could say, 크리스가 등산해요. Chris is the one who goes hiking. Or if someone says, like, who goes hiking? You could say, 제가, I go hiking. It's like responding, me. Yes, me, I am the one. 제가, me. But the topic particle, 저는, is used for making more general statements, just talking about things that you do. So 저는 등산해요 is just like, I hike. Hiking is something that I do. So it depends on the situation which one is right. It's not that 제가 is wrong and 저는 is better. It's not like that. It just depends on the situation. In these sentences, we've told you to use the topic particle just to keep things simple. But in the real world, it depends on context. Okay. That's also not the only difference between topic particle and subject particle. There are more differences besides that one I just spoke about. And it's a tricky concept that takes a long time to get used to. Don't worry about it too much, essentially. Like, I feel like it's something you can worry about later. If you've been learning Korean for a long time, you can focus on it and spend more time on it. But the difference between 이카 and 는 is quite small, I would say. Using the wrong one, like the worst case scenario, it'll be a little bit strange, right? But everyone will still understand what you mean. Everyone will still know what you meant to say. So I wouldn't stress about it too much, at least not as a beginner, for sure. You can use either in most situations, and everyone will understand. Okay, so last one, I. 저 and 피곤하다. So 저 is me, or I. And 피곤하다. What does this mean? 피곤하다. What does this verb mean in Korean? It's quite a useful word to know. Cleo, yes, tired. I'm tired. 저는 피곤해요. I'm tired. 피곤해요. Okay. All right, so this was the last page, I think, of our Hada Verbs chapter. We looked at some basic conjugation rules, some true-false statements, some sort of information about Hada verbs and what they're like. Can you say 내가 피곤해요? Yes, that's just using the subject particle, and it's in casual language. It's a mixed, you got some mixed formality going on because you're referring to yourself casually, but the sentence is in more formal language. But that is done sometimes. It's not unheard of for you to call yourself 내가, even though it's in formal language. Or you can use 제가, it's up to you. Okay. Yeah, so we looked at information about Hada verbs. We practiced making some sentences, made lots of sentences using Hada verbs. So that was the Hada verbs chapter. And next week, we will do some practice with descriptive verbs. Where to buy this book? You can get this book on our website, on TikTok Shop if you're in the US, and you can also get it on Amazon. Okay, so next time when we come back, it'll be next Friday at 5 p.m. And we will practice using descriptive verbs to describe nouns. Thank you, Anne-Louise. I appreciate you for the finger heart. Thank you so much. So yeah, if you're interested in learning some more Korean and practicing some more grammar, next week I'll be back at the same time, 5 p.m. Eastern time, to do this chapter. And also possibly the action verbs chapter as well, depending on time. I assume I'll be able to do both next week. So next week I'll be doing e-car descriptive verbs and little action verbs. So if you are someone who is still a little unsure about particles and when to use the right particle, that'll be a good lesson to join. 5 p.m. which day? 5 p.m. Friday, so 1 week from today. Yes, hope to see you guys there. Thank you guys so much for joining this evening, for joining me this Friday. I appreciate all of you. And I hope you have a wonderful day, wonderful Friday, wonderful weekend. And yeah, I'll see you next week. By the way, again, this book is the Level 1 workbook. It is available on TikTok Shop. You can find our website in our profile on TikTok. You can also find it on Amazon. The Level 1 workbook. It is, keep in mind, is also designed to go along with our textbook. So if you're looking for a textbook resource, you can get this. It's not necessarily required. You can find this information online. You can find the information in this book online as well. But if you're looking for one place to have everything in, sort of set together, you can also get the textbook. There are also PDFs available. If you prefer to work on an iPad or tablet, you can get the PDF version. You can also, if you want, buy the PDF and then print it out yourself if you prefer. So there's lots of options available. The paperback, again, on our website, on Amazon, and also the PDFs are available as well. Thank you guys so much. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you next time. All right. Thank you. Bye.